Uh, so speaking of the Fed and Janet Yellen, maybe I should have did this video first instead of the other one. That one second, but whatever. They kind of go hand in hand. And they make a good point here. This one's actually authored by Ryan Macon via the Mises Institute, but posted by Zero Hedge, one of my all-time favorite websites, period. Speaking in London, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen Tuesday predicted that the system is much safer and much sounder, and explained that the Federal Reserve is prepared to deal with numerous, enormous shocks to the economy. Now, hold on. I saw that first line though, and so wait a minute. The system is much safer and much sounder, and explained that the Federal Reserve is prepared to deal with numerous, enormous shocks to the economy. Why would you even be anticipating any shock to the economy, much less an enormous and numerous enormous shocks to the economy? If ever you just got done saying, system is much safer and much more sounder. I don't foresee a downturn in the markets, bad news in our lifetime, she said. What's the title of this one again? Beware the predictions of experts, quote unquote experts, like Janet Yellen. I'll remind you, 2008, early on, Bernanke was touting about how good everything was, economy, and then we had the big crash. The first thing out of his mouth, we didn't see this coming, we didn't know. You were just saying how great it was. And we had other people, not expert Feds, Federal Reserve people, telling us this isn't looking good. These are bubble, housing's bubble. You did the ninja loans. This is not going to end well. The market's going to come down. We didn't see anything. Our prestigious Princeton, Harvard, and Yale economists did not see this coming. No, but average Joes and other people did see this coming. Huh. How did that happen? In her conversation with Lord Nicholas Stern, Yellen also went on to list the reasons that, thanks to central bank intervention, there is unlikely to be another financial crisis in our lifetimes. For those who have lived through more than one business cycle or boom and bust cycle, same thing. However, alarm bells tend to go off every time an economist, central banker, or high-ranking government official declares that there's little to no danger of economic turmoil in the near future. This is funny. What kind of... Look at this. I saw this. It's like a little advertisement. Look at this. Hold on. They got Bernanke and Yellen. They look like they should be husband and wife, but look at her face. Look at her face. There it is. Look. Yeah, I trust in that woman. Oh, yeah. I believe what she says. And Zerohead says she was not alone. The Bank of England, their Governor Mark Carney, wrote in a letter to the G20 this week. A decade after the start of the global financial crisis, G20 reforms are building a safer, simpler, and fairer financial system. The largest banks are considerably stronger, more liquid, and more focused. We have fixed the issues that caused the last crisis. They were fundamental and deep-seated, which is why it was such a major job. You jackass. EU, huh? European Mark Carney, the Bank of England's governor. You got the EU zone. Spain's part of that, aren't they? Yes, they are. They had a bank fail. Huh. Just the other day. Italy, they're part of the EU, aren't they? Yes, they are. Well, yes, they are. They had 2 banks fail. Decent sized ones. Well, it's okay. We're not going to bail anybody out anymore. We're going to do bail-ins. It's in our, handwritten notes, I guess. And we've got permission from ourselves to go back to bailing out. We're going to bail out this one. We're not going to bail them in. But you said, so Mark Carney, please, your comments, please, sir. What can you say about this? How can you make that statement when a bank in Spain failed and 2 more failed right after that in Italy, and they were no small bank? Well, here's what Carney's predecessor at the Bank of England, Mervyn King, said in 2007. Ready? But I think against that it is very important to set a very, very key point here. which is that our banking system is much more resilient than in the past, precisely because many of these risks are no longer on their balance sheets, but have been sold off to people willing and probably more able to bear it. Circa 2007. And then what happened at the end of 08 and 9? Well, that's right. Financial catastrophe across the planet. Bailout in America, bailout in the EU. So that was his predecessor. Everything's great. The banking system's stronger. Really? Why do we just have 3 banks fail? My fingers hurt. What's that? My fingers hurt. Oh. Well, now your back's going to hurt because you just pulled landscape duty. Anyone else's fingers hurt? Happy Gilmore. There is a long history of spectacularly bad predictions being made shortly before economic crises. Famously, shortly before the crash of 1929, we know that one of the earliest crises that occurred in the Federal Reserve's on the Federal Reserve's watch, Herbert Hoover proclaimed that, quote, "We in America today are nearer to the final triumph over poverty than ever before in the history of any land." But we certainly don't have to go back that far, do we? Indeed, in the late 1990s, it became nearly routine to hear economists announce that the internet changes everything and the business cycle is now dead. There's no more boom and bust cycle. Economist Rudy Dornbush, a close associate of current Fed Vice Chair Stanley Fischer, even wrote a July 1998 column in the Wall Street Journal titled "Growth Forever." You ever seen the movie The Sandlot? Growth forever. Forever. Dornbush concluded that the possibility of an imminent recession is remote, and the country will not see a recession for years to come. So sure of the benefits of the new economy was Dornbush, in fact, that he declared, quote, "This expansion will run forever." Then came the dot-com bust a couple years later, 2001. After that came a short expansion from 2002 to 2007. 5-year expansion only. After that, you know what came next. The Great Recession. Meanwhile, from 2000 to 2015, according to the federal government's data, real median household income was flat. Only over the past 2 years have we seen any of that expansion that many were venturing to say was permanent back in the late 1990s. Economists and policymakers were no more insightful when examining the possibility of a new crisis post-2007. In 2005, for example, Milton Friedman could have been paraphrasing Yellen's Tuesday comments when he concluded that the stability of the economy is greater than it has ever been in our history. We really are in remarkable shape. Friedman went on to give Alan Greenspan credit for the expansion. In early 2007, Ben Bernanke, the one I always talk about, predicted we'll see some strengthening in the economy sometime during the middle of the new year. As late of mid-2007, Bernanke was downplaying any problems associated with the subprime housing market, allaying any fears of a bubble or burst, and claimed, "I don't know whether prices are exactly where they should be, but I think it's fair to say that much of what's happening, i.e. enormous home price growth during the housing bubble, is supported by the strength of the economy." If housing bubbles do prove to be a problem, Bernanke concluded, it's mostly a localized problem and not something that's going to affect the national economy. No, sir. It affected the freaking worldwide economy. Good call, Bernanke. The Bernanke strikes again. The U.S. would officially begin to contract in December of 2007, followed by a financial crisis the following autumn. Even on the eve of the crisis in September of 2008, John McCain announced that the fundamentals of our economy are strong. A year later, the unemployment rate would reach 10%, foreclosure rates were surging, and total employment would collapse from 116 million to 107 million. Employment would not return to pre-crisis levels until late 2013. Again, that's assuming we even believe the fake numbers they give us anyways. Millions of workers would need to change careers, be restrained, scratch for other forms of income to avoid foreclosure or eviction, and put off retirement indefinitely. The economy was so weak for so long, in fact, that the Fed felt it necessary to keep the key target interest rate near zero for 7 years to add stimulus. Of course, just because Janet Yellen says the economy won't experience a crisis anytime soon does not mean a crisis is imminent. A truly strong economy isn't going to be jinxed by a declaration that things are fine. On the other hand, given the record of eminent economists and Fed board members in the past, Janet Yellen's predictions are hardly anything that should inspire even a tiny bit of confidence. Can't wait to see how this one ends. Janet, Donald Trump will say, Janet, you're fired. Take care.